I'm doing it. I'm absolutely doing it. Now, despite genuinely like 15 people asking me to make a video on this topic, I was like, you know what? I've got food poisoning at the moment. I'm in bed. I've got a cold as well out here in Thailand. I managed 2 weeks without getting food poisoning. And training along the same time, so obviously being so exhausted, I think my immune system has just given up. But we're here and I'm a bit low energy, but today we're talking about the whole Ian Garry situation with Leila, his wife, Ian Garry. Obviously everything that's going on in the community at the moment, talking about, is Ian Garry a cock, is Ian Garry this, is Ian Garry that. It's a big video, so buckle your seatbelts and I'm just going to de-ravel everything I know and give my brutally honest thoughts on it, because you guys know that's what we do around here. But before we start, if you want to go subscribe to the vlog channel, I'd really appreciate that. And also if you want to click the links down below in the description as well, I'd really appreciate it more than anything. First things first, the obvious one. Everyone thinks that this lady, Leila Machado Garry, formerly Leila Anna Lee, only until recently, for example, only recently changing her Twitter name and things like this, which is things we have noticed. People saying that she's a tyrant, you know, she's only with Ian Garry for the money, that's why she's 15 years older than him, you know, a young athlete like Ian Garry being 22, meeting this, at the time, 36-year-old, essentially being like, you know, hi, I'll financially support you to move out to Florida, chase your dreams as you've just been signed to the UFC. I'll financially support you until, you know, we're even breadwinners in the family, you know. This type of power dynamic is what people are essentially talking about. And obviously it's always been a very, very weird relationship. Like, I love Ian Garry, but when I found out kind of like how the whole thing went down with Leila and her past, I was a wee bit like, okay, I'm sure she's absolutely lovely. It's just a weird situation. Who are we as fans to talk on someone's personal life and what they're comfortable with? Obviously setting aside a few obvious red flags that everyone had noticed. I mean, obviously the red flags being things like she literally wrote a book on how to be a wag. If you don't know what a wag is, it's a term, wife and girlfriend, which is usually like a UK term to describe a model or someone. Victoria Beckham used to get called it, for essentially like snapping up a football player for their money, even if they don't necessarily like them or find them that attractive, or having a kid with them very quickly in the relationship, getting married very quick. This is where the red flags start to come in. For example, Leila and Ian have had a kid. The kid's about 1 year old now. Also, they got married about 2 years in a wedding chapel. I believe it was in Vegas, and then it was just a closed wedding. Instantly, he got soulmate tattooed along his knuckles. Things like this, which would suggest, okay, there's maybe a power dynamic here that they're rushing along with it very quick. And obviously Ian, being a young athlete, maybe has been training his whole life, hasn't really had a taste of like supermodels, anything like this just yet, and all of a sudden this model comes along, yes, a slightly older model, and is promising you to go to Florida with you and all this and that, and obviously your mind starts going, wow, this is like the ideal perfect little life. We're going to get to the other stuff that involves this life in a little bit. I just want to speak about the wag side of things right now. Furthermore, of the whole like wag thing, realistically, right, and this is what I want to say, if you're writing a book in 2010 on how to be a wag, and obviously it's for the World Cup, right, so it was for the 2010 World Cup, Leila wrote this book, claiming that it's just like a little joke, like an audio book, regardless of if it was a joke, completely made in satire, right, because of footballers and their wives and girlfriends, because it was something to promotion, you know, you'll make a bit of money off it. It was a money grab during the 2010 World Cup. That's no problem. Understood, completely understood. Money grab, whatever, not a problem. That book has in-depth detail and information on how to capture a young athlete, make them fall in love with you, manipulate them, get together with them, right? It's just a red flag. And regardless of if it was made in satire, okay, regardless of if this book was created as some sort of funny money grab as promotional value from the 2010 World Cup 10 years ago, right? 13 years ago. The fact that you are the front runner and you're voicing this book and you're sitting down and I don't know if you were given a script to read out. I mean, we don't know anything about that. And if you had told me you've wrote this book, I would not care. But it's the fact now, 13 years later, you've done everything that this book is instructing women to do, and you've done it to a very high degree of where you're now together with a very, very talented up-and-coming UFC prospect, and you got together with him when he was 22, and you were, what, 36, if I'm correct? Also, financially supported him to move to the United States to train at Sanford MMA, Kilcliff. That's weird. I mean, and I'm not saying she has any bad intentions. I mean, realistically, she could just want a young guy, young athlete to make money from him. Maybe she does love him truly, and I actually truly think she does love Ian, and Ian really does love her. I think Ian loves her so much, he's a bit blinded by like this perfect life that they've got, and there's just like, when she's 60, he'll be 45, and probably in his mind, he's thinking, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'll be rich, I'll be successful, we'll see what happens. They've got a son, they got married very quick, they've got tattoos for each other. It's just all these things tying him down emotionally and thinking, wow, this girl's never gonna leave, we've got the perfect life. And he says to us, he says to the fans, you guys are insecure. You guys would never be able to understand the true love, the true this, the true that. My argument to that is, realistically, if I know these things about this lady, she's 15 years older than me, she's a bit strange, but so is Ian Garry. Ian Garry, you guys have to remember, he's a weird man. Like, he's a weird guy, he's quirky, he's weird, but he's fun, you know. No hate for Ian Garry whatsoever. Like, realistically, what are you gonna do? It's just a lot of red flags, and I just do not understand the logic behind. There's a lot based around the control dynamic of this relationship, and she's his manager, she's this, she's that, and I think genuinely she swept him off his feet, offering this lifestyle that can't be like comprehended by any other young athlete. And it's allowed Ian Garry to skyrocket. So she's helped his career massively. He's fallen in love with her. She's clearly good for him. That's the thing, guys. She's not bad for Ian Garry. But the argument essentially is she doing this to later in life be a tyrant and take all this back? And we don't know, we'll never find out. But if Ian Garry's comfortable and he's not insecure about it, then who are we to even pay attention to this relationship or care in the slightest? We're not. We don't really have a place to judge Ian Garry for this situation, as it's not a big deal whatsoever at the moment. Realistically, we'll find out in 10 years time, 4 or 5 years time. I mean, it would be interesting if Ian Garry went on like a 2-fight losing streak, and then Leila was like, okay, see you later, Ian, I'm going, and then we'd know, oh fuck, that man has really been brainwashed. The whole thing with them living, so Ian Garry's nutritionist, by the way, folks, is Leila's ex-husband. There's videos of Leila holding the camera, recording Ian at the side of the mat in the gym, and then the ex-husband holding their baby. That is weird. I mean, regardless of having no insecurity in a relationship, regardless of not being afraid of the past, that is strange. And then as well, him putting Ian Garry on a fully vegan diet, proven in MMA that that's bad for you in terms of explosivity, everything. It's been proven it's not the best. Recovery wise, maybe it's very good, but realistically you're not getting the growth and the explosivity you need from that. So obviously there's like, okay, is he trying to sabotage Ian? Is Ian just kind of like, realistically he's definitely not trying to sabotage Ian Garry, but this is things fans are throwing out there. Okay, right, I've rambled so much. Essentially what I'm trying to say is there's lots and lots of red flags on how Ian Garry has gotten into this position and situation around his wife, okay? I'm sure she's lovely. I think she's very good for him and his career because she supports him every step of the way. He thinks Ian Garry's this diva. He's going to now do whatever he feels is best for his career, and he's going to be financially supported. He's going to be supported by his wife, and obviously that will empower him to just do as well as he can to provide for his family, okay? And all the information points to the fact that she's kind of led him astray a wee bit, and maybe Ian Garry's a bit blinded and delusional. Yeah, he is definitely slightly a wee bit, because realistically, the fact she offered him all this incredible life is not maybe fully out of love and more out of potential gain in the future. And I realistically think she just wants attention out of this situation. And there was a video of her saying, guys, just remember Caroline Flack. And I feel like to throw that out there is headline baiting. That's this type of thing. And I get it, people say terrible things online, but realistically, Leila, the Caroline Flack situation was a very, very crazy and detrimental situation for the UK in terms of a social type of wave it caused, and you trying to put yourself in the same bracket as that is, in my opinion, looking for attention completely. As long as this is benefiting Ian Garry, I do not care, because if he's being delusional and if all these red flags are being pointed out and no one cares, including Ian Garry, it's not my place, it's not my business. I do not mind. Do your thing, son. Good man. Realistically, that's all I can say. Go get that money, go have this happy life with this 40-year-old lady who is very weird, has a lot of red flags, but I love Ian Garry as an athlete. I think he's fantastic. I've always been a massive fan. I've made loads of videos on the channel about how beautiful his striking is and how his mindset's fantastic. I wasn't originally going to make a video on this topic, but then I had a few private messages asking me to, just because I kind of am very blunt, very honest, and I think I dissected this very well. Let's have a little conclusion. There's a lot of red flags around the situation, right? There's a lot of the word cuck being thrown out there. I think delusion is one. Delusion and just blinded by this false narrative of love and this happy little life they've got going on. It's like them against the world, you know, and I think that's Leila literally making that happen and to keep him on strings. But we can't necessarily find out if Leila truly is this wag or this tyrant looking to take everything Ian Garry's got, and unless Ian Garry maybe goes on a few fight losing streak, or if then he becomes as the champ, then loses the belt, then kind of retires, you know. So we can't really make we can't really make a reasonable argument right now, guys, okay? That's one of the things. But I'm going to say this, it is very weird. There's a lot of red flags and there is a massive amount of scrutiny being given to them both right now. I'm not going to judge them for how they choose to live their lives. Yes, I can agree with all of you, it's extremely weird. It's not how I would choose to do things. And Ian Garry's got a really good end of the deal, in my opinion, for now, because he was taken out there. But now all of Leila's little things have been implemented, you know, all the married kids very quickly, moving to England full-time to be closer to Leila's family, a lot of this, which is detrimental to Ian Garry's career. I'm sure he was happy in Florida, now they're in Brazil, so it's just one of those things of Leila being his manager, the weird power dynamic. I just wouldn't like it myself as a guy, and that's not out of insecurity, that's just out of my values and how I want to live my life as a man. Thanks folks, as I said, subscribe, follow the vlog channel, and I will see you all very soon.